Good afternoon, everybody out there, and welcome to Mt Panorama for today's race. We have the Gentlemen's Racing Club Bathurst birthday bash on this afternoon, and with everything going on in today's world with the virus, etc., there's no better way to spend your Sunday afternoon than kicking back with a couple of beverages and watching some of Australia's best racers do some multi-class racing around the famous circuit. It's going to be an action-packed afternoon, and with us today we have Paul. Paul's here to let us know a few ins and outs of the Gentlemen's Racing Club, as well as surprises and things that are online today. Paul, how are you today?
Yeah, very good, gentlemen. Thank you. Thanks for the hosting and broadcasting the race today. The Gentlemen's Racing Club's a group that we put together probably about a year ago. I think we now have about 150 members, and we thought to celebrate myself and Pete Matson, who are both admin in the club. We put together a race, invite as many people as we could. Multi-class racing, but everyone's actually in the same class. So where they qualify is where they'll start the race. So there'll be some good battles. There's some iRacing dollars up for grabs. So best paint job, least incident points at the end of the race, and also best jump and landing after the race. So it should be a lot of fun. I hope everyone enjoys it. And there should be some great racing as well, some really good races. We've got some internationals here as well, so it should be great.
That's fantastic. The jump at the end sounds very interesting. We've all had a crack at the jump. I don't think I've ever stuck the landing, so that wouldn't be a prize I would not receive. But with us today, we also have a co-commentator, Jake. Jakey, how are you this evening, mate? Great to have you along.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. I'm doing good and looking forward to another race, 50 laps here at Bathurst. Should be a cracker.
And Paul, I think the great thing is what you're saying there is that even though we have multi-class racing, no matter where you qualify, you're going to start. So as an armchair guy looking forward to some racing, I'm looking for action today. And I know the drivers will get angry at each other, but I'm actually looking for a bit of carnage. I do love my carnage. And
I think that's guaranteed around Bathurst. Absolutely. I mean, you've got the Mustang, which is it's a great fun car to drive, very stable over the top of the mountain. Obviously, the GT3s and the GT4s and the TCR are quicker over there, but they're going to have to be patient. There will be carnage, we know that, but it's going to be fun. So that's what it's all about.
Well, that's the thing I'm thinking about here with those cars. You've got some that are going to be really impatient across the top. And others then, even though they may be slower across the top, they're going to have a straight line speed advantage. So if you're a faster class, you're going to need to try and make some moves across the top of the mountain, which is a recipe for disaster generally.
Absolutely. And also we have fuel restrictions. So the GT3s will be doing at least, we think 3-stop. If they fuel save, there'll be a random safety car at some stage during the race.
Nice.
So yeah, there's fuel saving, there's tyre strategies. The GT4s and the TCRs will be probably a 2-stopper, and the Mustang is a 1-stopper because I think it only burns about 1.8 litres per lap.
Yeah. Okay. So it sounds like a bit of a fun race, and it promises to be that. But I can hear the drivers in the warm up, and a few of them are ropeable at each other. So there's a bit on the line today, even though it's a bit of a celebration of fun race. These guys mean business today, and there's been a lot of practice put in before this event.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, there's a few hotheads in there. We'll keep the swearing to our own Discord channels, I'm sure. So look, it's going to be a lot of fun. And qualifying starts now. So I better jump out and do some qualifying.
Thanks, Paul. Good luck. And
thanks, Jen. Thanks
we might talk to you at the end. No worries at all. So, Jakey, qualifying's about to begin. Let's see what happens here as we begin this session.
Yeah, looking forward to this session. Having a lap of Bathurst solo is always something drivers love to do, and a few drivers are already coming unstuck at the moment, but
yeah, well, I'd called a race last week in the Jinx V8 series. They did a top 10 shootout, and you're just talking to them about having the track to yourself. The tricky thing about qualifying is how do you deal with that pressure? The tension rises. You want to throw it all out there, but I saw last week in the top 10 shares, six drivers I think invalidated. So qualifying is a difficult task, and especially around this track, it's probably even harder. But probably one of the better thrills, I suppose, as a driver, driving this track and qualifying and pushing it to the limit.
Yeah, exactly right. Just I just love that feeling, getting that car right on that edge.
Yeah, and
So close. To
it's one of those tracks too. The more you, especially across the top, or I don't know if you find the same, but the more you push it up near those walls, that's how you do inevitably find that time across the top. It does reward you for pushing and taking it to the limit. So promises to be a good session.
See, a few of the drivers come to the end of their outlaps at the moment. The man to watch is Phil Letchford, set the fastest lap in practice. He might be on to, if he can do that same time in this qualifying session, he'll be one of the favourites to get the pole position.
Yeah, for sure. A quick driver and one to look out for. And I suppose one of the hard things for us today, Jakey, too, will be looking for the quickest drivers in the classes as we look through the field with the 4 classes on display today. But yeah, he's definitely one to look out for. It's actually quite a good list of drivers today. As I scroll through the list, there is a whole range of class drivers in this field, or drivers that I've seen over the years produce some good results. So high quality field today promises to be a good watch.
Exactly right, and with good drivers usually comes good action. So, yeah, seeing some of the boys coming through, starting their laps. Phil Letchford has been pretty smooth so far in the first couple of corners here. He's yeah, it's looking good. Not just looks like he's just gonna set a banker on this first one. Not to say that he isn't pushing, but I reckon the second lap that he'll set will be the one to look out for. And following Letchford through the dipper, and on the run down to the forest elbow. Super clean so far. It's and that looked like a good exit now onto Conrad Straight. Alright, sorry about that. Had a few difficulty problems. Yep, we should be back. We should be good to go now. So I'm on with Letchford at the moment, rounding out his second lap. Right on the edge through the chase. He comes down to Murray's Bend to finish his second lap. It's pretty solid as he comes around to cross the finish line. What time was it? Was it a 2:09? So he didn't go as fast as his first lap. He's still on provisional pole at the moment. We have Alex Court in second place with Mitchell Ross in third. Baz in fourth with Williams in fifth. Losh has done a 2:05.2 in sixth place with Thomas Pruzos in seventh. Mark Dredge 8th, Sean Doyle 9th, Mark Brady 10th. We'll see if there's any cars still circling on track at the moment. Each car only given the 2 laps at the moment. It looks like everyone is finished qualifying for now. Steve Veller is actually still on track. Whether he's completed his second lap, he has. So that's his qualifying done. Yep. Yep. Baz into third place now in the session. So he's done a solid lap there. And here's Mitchell Ross now, coming down under the bridge, down to Murray's Bend to finish his second lap. His first lap was a 2-minute 4.2. He crosses the line now, and it was an invalid lap time. So he got an off track somewhere there, and there's been a crash there with Steve Veller. We're gonna go get a replay up for you. Not quite sure what happened there. It's still in the wall there. That looks like it's at the top of the hill. Yeah, coming up over McPhilmy and over Skyline. Yeah, just lost the back end and straight into the Coates High signage on the right hand side. So here's see Chris Polly in the Mustang class now coming to the chase. He's about to finish his second lap. Nice and tidy through there. His first lap was a 2:27.8. In 28th position overall. And he's behind some of the other Mustang drivers. As he crosses the finish line, he's on a 2:27.1, so he's improved his time, but he hasn't improved his position, still in 28th position. And here's Paul Wood is going through the chase now. He's also completing his second lap. Currently in 25th at the moment. He'll be looking to pull out another second or two, as he just lost him for a second here. As that was the end of the session, so he actually wasn't able to complete his second lap there. He'll be a little disappointed about that he didn't get his lap started faster. But yeah, so the drivers are now gritting up or getting set up behind the pace car on Conrod Straight. And yeah, so it was Letchford that did manage to hold on to that pole. The 10 unchanged from when I ran through it. With yeah, so Letchford and Court are on the front row with Collard and Baz 3rd and 4th, Mitchell Ross 5th, with Len Williams in 6th, Losh in 7th, with Pruzos in 8th, Dredge 9th, Castley in 10th, Sean Doyle in 11th place, with Mark Brettle in 12th, Blake Urquhart in 13th place, with Ceylon in 14th. We have Doyle in 15th. No, Williams, sorry, in 15th, with Shepherd 16th. Carmichael in 17th, with Chris Dallin 18th. Frank Aroldi in 19th, with David Milne in 20th. Steve Valley, who had that crash at the end of qualifying, in 21st place. Luke Brown 22nd, with Gary Cousins 23rd. Paul Nichols, who we were speaking to just before, is in 24th place in the Mustang. Paul Wood 25th, with Jared Daly in 26th. Peter Matson, one of the other hosts for this race, he's in 27th, with Chris Polly 28th. Cameron Dance in 29th, in 30th rather, with Michael Hammond 31st. David Farrelly 32nd. Chris Uding 33rd. Sean Pidwell 34th. Josh Millard 35th. Dale 36th. Willman 37th. Walden 38th. Ferris 39th, Newell 40th, Rob Carmichael, who we said just before is going to start from the pit lane. As we're now rolling down to Murray's Bend, we're about to start this race. Pace cars pulled off into the pit lane. We're getting ready and set to go. As the drivers round the final bend, green flag is out. We're underway for 50 laps here at Bathurst for the Gentlemen's Racing Club. As we charge down into turn 1.
Hey Jakey, I'm back there. Sorry mate, I'm back. A great start there. Looked like there was going to be contact in 2nd or 3rd place there in the GT3 class. Just looking at Phil Letchford taking us up the mountain for the first time in his Mercedes-Benz AMG GT3. And it's nice and clean at the front, with a little bit of a battle going on for 3rd and 4th as we head into Murray's.
Yeah, exactly right.
Oh, side by side. Don't want to be out in the marbles there. Really well done. Good clean driving for the drivers and a beautiful move there by Arturo Baz, who goes into 3rd place. So good driving from the boys. It's where things can go wrong in Bathurst when people get a little bit antsy in these first couple of corners, and if you make contact around here, you're going to block the entire track for the rest of the classes. So Arturo Baz, big pressure on him in the GT3 class, but holding on well as we go across the top.
Yeah, exactly right. Still Letchford, who's pulled away at the start. He's got a bit of a small gap to Alex Court. The front two have just pulled away, but it's a nice battle for 3rd. Baz holding on with Ross right behind him. Collard and Williams following next, with Pruzos looking to put the pressure on Williams.
Back in the Porsche GT4 car, we've got Paul Nichols, who looks to have a bit of a battle going on with Paul Wood in front. They seem to be the 2 leading Porsche drivers. They're sort of negotiating their way through some... oh, and he's had a big move down at the elbow. Paul Nichols under a lot of pressure. He's trying to make a move done. They actually had to negotiate their way through the GT3 cars, who obviously qualified behind them. There was just a stream of Mercedes-Benz GT3s pouring in and around the these Porsche Cup cars. So they've done well as they head down towards the chase.
Yeah, just
got a few cars off along the track. I could hear the carnage across the top of the mountain.
Yeah, it looked like Valor and Uding both off the track at the top of the mountain.
Oh dear. Oh, we normally get a bit of carnage on the opening lap, and it was the case again here.
Yeah, let's see. But yeah, it's a bit of chaos to start.
Well, it's to be expected at Mt Panorama. We know what this track's like. I was actually surprised going through it how well everybody had seemed to negotiate the first lap, but a little bit of carnage is what we've come to expect when we come to Bathurst on the opening lap. But by and large, you know, with most of the classes, they look quite clean and respectful, so a good start to the race.
Yeah, exactly right. It's still a good battle here for third between Baz and Ross. Ross really put the pressure on Baz at the end of that previous lap.
Didn't. It's good.
Yeah, a
Good
couple of
clean driving between the two, but yeah, doing well.
Yeah, exactly right. They've come down towards the elbow now.
And we've got Paul Wood, who's just passed Paul Nichols. So that battle there, it's continuing on. It looks like he's made the move, which is good to see.
Yeah, exactly. Still a good battle for third there. Baz is holding on as it looks like Ross is looking to the outside. They've gone side by side through the chase. Baz just manages to hold on, and now Ross is actually vulnerable to Collard, who got a great run out of the chase and will be looking to make a move into Murray's Bend. No, Ross has just covered his line beautifully then and has held on to fourth place, and now he's got to do all that work again to catch up to Baz.
Looks like sorry, just looking back at the pack, it's Steve Valor. Steve Valor's gone way off at the chase. I don't know how he saved that. That's one of the best saves I've ever seen. He has gone completely off at the chase, almost into the wall, almost doing a Fabian Coulthard and rolling it, but he's held onto it and he's lost the position, but he's got no damage on that vehicle. So Steve Valor just an absolutely crazy save there through the chase.
He's been in the wars plenty in this session so far, both qualifying and in this race. Has been involved in 2 instances already so far. He might be one to look for if the race gets a bit dull.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. No offense there, Steve. Yeah, you could be an entertaining driver to watch out for, but that was amazing driving to save that. I can't believe he managed to pull that off.
Exactly. Still a little bit going on at the front, but it's sort of settled down now after that
Looks like we've got a car off, Chris Uding going off off the track, so we might have a bit of a look at the replay there for Chris. That's the second time in a matter of laps. There's been enough there for Chris, so finding the early going tough, but still a long way to go in this one.
Yeah, it looks like Uding has retired the car for the moment.
Ah, okay, that's a shame.
Not sure if he'll be back or not. We hope he comes back to finish this race.
Yeah, well, you know, that's it's quite a long, 50 laps. It seems like short, but it's actually quite a long race. With these, the speed of these cars, quite a long time to recover. So hopefully he keeps going. But if he's retired, well, that's a shame.
Yeah, exactly. As here we go, we've got to move for fourth place. Collard is going down the inside of Ross. He's got the position, but will Ross now come back at him up Mountain Straight? He's in the slipstream now, and he's pulling alongside. They're gonna go side by side up the mountain, well, up Mountain Straight rather, with Collard holding the inside. He's going to be the last of the late breakers. Looks like Collard is just going to hold that position, and he's going to stay in fourth place.
Beautiful driving there. We've got a bit of a three-way battle pack forming with Stuart Carsley, currently in 9th position in the GT3 class. He's got what looks like his teammate right behind him in Mark Dredge, as well as Sean Doyle, who's putting pressure on the both of them. So, I think he just hit the wall there, Stuart Carsley, as we go across the top near the cutting, pushing it to the absolute limit. What you don't want to see in these situations is the two teammates tangling together. So if you're Mark Dredge sitting in behind, you're the one who needs to make sure that you're not braking later than your teammate in front and potentially taking him out. So the couple of teammates here sitting in 9th and 10th. Oh, and we've got Wayne Shepherd, who I believe has had a bit of an incident here across the top of the mountain. That's a shame for him. He's got to try and be careful entering the circuit. That's why he's taking so long as the cars filter through across the top of the mountain. So he's going to lose a huge amount of positions here as he does an Austin Powers 21-point turn. And yeah, it's a shame there for Wayne. He enters the track and everything's okay. So
Yeah, it's unfortunate for Shepherd there. He just lost the rear end coming over Skyline. Just turned a little too aggressively, and that's all it took to pivot the car around.
let's go and have a look for Cam Dance, big name in the sports, in an intense battle for the lead of our Cup cars here, and he's putting pressure all over the back of Robert Frydale. So this promises to be an interesting battle of the two Porsches. I saw a lot of videos throughout the week, Jakey, of this Porsche actually going across the mountain. Beautiful sounding car. I'm a bit of a bias there, as I'm a Porsche fan. But these are two pretty big names, Jakey, and they're starting to form a bit of a pack. They're actually sticking to the back of this GT3 in front quite well, which is quite impressive.
Yeah, they set faster times than the GT3 car in front in qualifying. They've got a lot more confidence in the Cup car than what Aroldi does in.
Oh,
GT3.
Robert got real loose there on the exit of the cutting, and the rear end just wanting to snap out under acceleration, and that's put Cam right onto the back of him as we go through McPhillamy and Reed Park over to the Skyline. So Robert pushing hard there, pushing so much the rear's getting loose, and Cam will be looking at that. I believe we've had a crash, Jakey.
Yeah, it looks like Greg Sullen is
Oh,
has just fallen off the track. He's at the dipper there.
that's not where you want to go off.
No.
It was actually Cam Dance and Robert going past Greg Sallon there, almost collecting him.
To that.
Oh, he's actually, if you look at the replay, he's actually been collected by a JP Simshed car there of Blake Urquhart. Blake, the innocent victim. Greg getting real loose, going down towards the dipper, smashing into the wall and coming back across the circuit.
On Conrod Straight.
Oh.
He's trying to limp the car back on. Halfway down Conrod Straight, he's just pivoted into the wall. And he's just been hit. He just got collected by one of the other cars.
Oh no.
I want to see who that was. It was Steve Bella has just collected the poor GT car. Oh no, sorry, Bella was it. No, sorry, my bad. I got that call wrong. It was Shepherd that that collected him, and Shepherd went completely over the top of Vela.
Oh wow.
Vela so lucky to avoid that. I cannot believe that Vela got out of that without getting hit. It was incredible.
So it's all kicking off here. The carnage is coming out as we would expect it at Bathurst, and there's some massive accidents. And I can hear the race stewards talking to the drivers. Has a safety car been called?
I'm not sure, but the some of the GT leaders have already caught up to the Mustangs. We have Ross, Baz and Collard. Ross has actually got himself into third place. So he's been very opportunistic. Collard's gone off the track. Did he collect Baz?
Another one off at the chase.
Just missed him.
And that's where he's got to be careful there of coming back onto the circuit. He's trying to get into pit lane to get some repairs. That car's looking in terrible shape.
Yeah, I'm wondering if he might have collected one of the Mustangs when they were lapping him.
Talking about the Mustangs, Michael Hammond is all over the back of the Marlboro Mustang. That looks like a beautiful retro livery. as we're going through Hell Corner, heading up towards the top of the mountain. Two wacky liveries. Never got GT3 cars trying to manage their way past. The two Mustangs do a great job of moving over for the faster GT3 cars as we head up the straight. And we have a Marlboro Mustang versus a Unicorn Mustang. Didn't think I'd say that ever in my lifetime. As these two guys are going hammer and tong at it. Yeah, Michael Hammond and David Farrelly there in the Marlboro car. Don't smoke, kids at home. Team stewarding Jake across the to the drivers, telling them to be patient. So there's obviously a lot of action going out there. GT3 cars again navigate around these Mustangs. These Mustangs are just sitting ducks to these Mercedes AMGs as they go across the top of the mountain. Have a look at these GT3s flying up across them as we go across Skyline. This is where you could cause accidents if the Mustang drivers aren't looking in their rear vision mirrors. As the Marlboro Mustang runs off the circuit, David Farrelly, and he holds his position somehow. Well done, good driving there. So, and there's a car off at the dipper. It's Sean Doyle.
It is Sean Doyle indeed.
Oh, and the Mustang almost smashes into him as he's putting himself back onto the circuit. So let's have a look at the replay there for Sean. So many cars losing it, Jakey, at Skyline.
Yeah, it's a tough part of the track, especially in these GT cars. You'd think that they'd have enough downforce to...
You wouldn't believe it. Blake Urquhart has crashed into Sean at the exact same place that he crashed into another car earlier that had also spun at the dipper. So Blake Urquhart, the JP Simshed Mercedes AMG, is having a terrible luck out there. His front end is so crumpled up, and it's from none of his own doing. He's literally driven into two parked cars at the dipper. So you feel for Blake there. Just nowhere to go, obviously, at Bathurst when you've got a car that is blocking the entire circuit.
Yeah, it's very tough. So blind coming over Skyline in through the S's with the walls right up next to the tarmac. You just can't see around each of the corners. So if there's a stricken car, because you don't often know how bad the yellow flags are, and they don't often get triggered in time when a crash like that occurs. So you just have nowhere to go but straight into the stricken car.
Yeah, that's right. So feel for Blake there. It's unlucky, but he'll carry on and still in the top 10. So there's just still a lot of passing going on out there, but it's obviously a lot of the slower guys moving over for the faster classes. Pit stops have yet to get. We've got Ben Collard, I believe, has had an off.
Meanwhile, the battle's still on in the Cup class between Crydale and Dance. Cruisdale, sorry.
Yeah, so Collard, as I was just trying to find him on the circuit, I think his internet might have had some issues there, because he has just disappeared out of the race and his car ploughed into a wall at high speed. So something's gone wrong there for Collard. So feel a bit sorry for him there. You never like to have internet or machinery issues in a race, but looks like something has happened. There's Mark Dredge has also gone off the circuit. So unlucky there for Dredge.
Was in ninth place.
Yeah, he's coming in. He's coming into turn 1 at Hell Corner and just lost the rear end. So a lot of these drivers are losing the rear end of these Mercedes. I mean, obviously the popular choice in the GT3 class is the Mercedes AMG GT3, because around this track they are a beautifully balanced car compared to a lot of the other selections. But a lot of these Mercedes drivers are losing that rear end, especially under braking and in corner entry. So Mark, a victim to the unstable rear end, but he's still in 8th and no damage, so he'll plow on. Just having a look here, Jakey, the race steward is warning GT3 drivers to calm down. It's about the 4th or 5th warning that he's given the GT3 drivers. So I'm not sure what's going to happen there. Oh, sorry.
There's just been a spin at Hell Corner. It was the number 061 car of Craig Bott. Just locked the rears coming into Hell Corner and just slid it. Luckily missed the pit wall and has gotten going again. But I believe he must have lost a place there to Steve Vella. He's no, sorry, Mark Brettel.
Yeah, just another rear end loss there. So, just as we were talking about, it seems to be Hell Corner and top of Skyline into the dipper where the Mercedes AMG drivers are struggling. There are a couple of Audis out there I could see in the GT3 field, but predominantly Mercedes-Benz. But yeah, as I was saying, the race steward has literally told the GT3 drivers last warning. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but I dare say if things of a naughty nature keep appearing, that there might be some penalties being handed out shortly. So, I mean, as we know, Jakey, when you're the fastest class, and you're overtaking the slower drivers, it's a certain finesse about it. You need to be patient and overtake at the right time, and it sounds like there might be a few GT3 drivers out there just being a little impatient and forcing the issue a bit on the slower cars.
Yeah, exactly. It's just drivers have got to remember it's a long race. You don't need to push. You don't need to go for the tiniest of margins. That comes at the end of the race when we're battling for wins.
Just looking for battles on track. Robert Crisdale into turn 1 is still. Oh, and there was another Mercedes off at turn 1, but yeah, Robert Crisdale still battling with Cam Dance, and in the sandwich is a BMW GT3 in the sandwich of these two guys. So it's a little battle to walk out for, a bit of multi-class action here, and each of these cars has their own strengths and weaknesses as we go across the top. The Porsche seems to have incredible straight line speed and holds its own, but as we can see here, this is where the GT3 comes into its own with the more aero as opposed to the Porsche, and just wants to close in. And if you want to overtake, if you're in the BMW position of Greg Salon, you need to get it done over these next through couple of corners, because you're not going to overtake these Porsches down the straight. So his next move would be the elbow. Doesn't look like he's going to be close enough for a move. He's lost it. The rear brakes, and Cam Dance is going to get the move done on the GT3 there. So just so many rear end losses. How did he keep that off the concrete?
Yeah. I'm sure it was Tom Pruzos who's had a spin there at Murray's Bend.
We click make our way through. We have Stuart Carsley in 7th, making flying by the little Cup cars there. They're still in a battle, those Cup cars, aren't they? Paul Wood and Paul Nichols.
Oh, we just had a spin. We just had a spin at the dipper. It was an orange car. I reckon that might have been Vella.
Vella again.
Vella. He's parked in the
middle. Oh, no.
He's just collected the leader of the GT3 class.
Don't believe it. Phil Letchford is going to be fuming about that. Oh, and Vella, I think he's been hit again.
Yeah, poor Letchford had nowhere to go. Vella was parked right in the middle of the track, tried to get out of the way, but they just went for the same piece of track. And
so just watching the replay there, he's lost it coming out of the elbow, and he's just blocking the entire circuit and reversed. And as he's reversed, Phil's gone to go left, and they've hit each other. And I think Vella might be in a bit of strife there.
Collected. Cars are still hitting. Oh, and he's just been rear-ended again by Blake Urquhart.
Oh, Blake again! I don't believe it. That's 3 times. And I think Steve might be hearing from the race steward shortly, Jakey.
Well, I think I reckon Blake was at fault for that last one. The drivers would have known that Vela was parked at the bottom of the dipper. They should
Oh
have been
my
slowing down, but Blake
God.
didn't and just went full
Oh,
speed straight into Vela.
I was just watching. Steve Vela has been hit about 6 times in that one spot, and he's actually blocked the circuit again. An entire class of cars had to come to a complete. He's actually retired, so I think he's been told to stop, and he's parked it up in the pit lane, which I think is a good move. I don't think I've ever, I don't think I've ever seen that. He's actually driving backwards on the circuit at one stage. If you actually think in real life, when we had a GT3 12-hour at Bathurst, there was a Bentley that spun where he did and was facing the wrong direction. And in that instance, he was told that you just simply cannot turn the car around there. Shepherd has had an off. If we have a look there, Jakey, again involved in. Oh,
There's a lot going on at the moment. There's cars spearing off left, right, and center. Trying to get it all on replay for you guys.
I'm just quiet there, Jakey. The race steward is absolutely ropeable right now, and even though he's already said last warning, he's saying to him again, last warning as Wayne Shepherd gets up and running. Good to see Wayne at least waiting for the track to clear before commencing. As that seems to be the cause of a lot of our incidents today. A lot of people just coming back onto the circuit. And, yeah, as we were just saying, you can't really do that at Bathurst, especially across the top of the mountain. There's just not much room up there.
As we've got the battle between the Porsche Cup cars is still continuing on. Chrisdale and Dance, but it's been pulled on hold at the moment as the safety car has been called. Probably just to calm all the drivers down.
Yeah, I think it's a good call.
Yeah.
We might be able to actually get a hold on this race and what's going on. It is just so much going on out there. It's hard to know where to look, Jake.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we haven't even looked into the strategy. There's just every single corner or lap there's cars going off, but I'm guessing we're going to see a pretty busy pit lane here. Especially for the GT3 cars who have to do a number of stops. We're on lap
13. We're on lap 13 of this race. The GT cars with their fuel restrictions have to make 3 stops. So they would surely be at the edge of their fuel window now. So it's almost the perfect time for these GT3 drivers to come into the pits and top up on fuel.
You'd think so, but a number of them actually bypassing the pits there. So we'll see what happens maybe at the end of this lap.
Well, yeah, I'd assume the pit lane entrance is closed at the
moment
for
yeah,
drivers.
Yeah.
As is usually the case when the safety car first gets called in iRacing.
And a driver's been penalised for entering the pit lane. I think it's Steve Vela, I believe, is asking for his penalty to be waived as he came into the pits. As you said, that was closed. So in iRacing, even though you might be coming into the pits unknowingly that a safety car's been called, the game will register you as entering a closed pit lane and give you a penalty. So I'm sure that penalty will be waived.
Especially with Steve Vela's been in the wars so far. He'll have a lot of damage on his car, and would be looking to get it fixed.
Oh my! There's a car in the wall behind the safety car. It's Craig Bott. Oh.
First of the lapped cars.
Let's have a look at the replay there. I thought he was in second because I saw him behind the leader, but he's in second place, and he's just
Just went too
mistimed.
fast.
I think maybe, yeah, I couldn't even explain that. Just straight into the wall, and
Yeah,
that's
didn't
yeah. I
slow
think it's
down enough and just went
no.
the track and into the wall. Very unfortunate there,
Oh,
especially when we're under safety car conditions.
And that's substantial damage too. You'd have some bent steering, loss of aero. That when you drive these GT3 cars and you hit a wall like that, there's so much aero in these cars that you feel it in the especially along the straights. You lose a lot of straight line advantage. But let's try and gather ourselves here and go through a bit of an order. Alex Court in the Drive Sim GP Sim card in the lead. We've got a whole bunch of lapped cars there in different classes we'll get to. Mitch Ross in third position in the GT3. How don't I have second place? So second might have pitted. Mitchell Ross, third position. Mitch Ross, okay, he's now in second. Okay, so Phil Letchford pitted. So that's interesting. So we're looking at Alex Court and Phil Letchford. Phil's pitted under safety car and is now at the back of the field. Court deciding to stay out, so we'll have to see how that shapes up.
Something happened to Len Williams when they were under the formation. I wasn't sure what happened there because he's went straight on at the chase without even trying to turn in. As we have a car slowing.
It's Phil Letchford, race leader, or former race leader, and he's stopped at the top of the mountain. I have no idea why. So
I'm
hearing nothing. He's got going again. So that's bizarre. I'm hearing nothing coming through the chat.
He just backed off the controls there, unless he had to wait for. Unless he has to wait for cars to pass him before he can get going again.
Yeah, he's had to let the cars through.
So looks like he has to go right to the back of the grid when we
Might have cleared blue flagged or lapped cars and letting them through. I'm not too sure, but he's once again slowing down on the on the chase and the straight.
Yes.
No, there's something not right. He's letting through the entire pack yet.
It's gonna be an interesting restart when we do get back to green. There's a few Mustangs sitting in front of the GT3 cars that could cause a bit of havoc coming up Mountain Straight.
Yeah, that's right, and that's the beautiful thing about multi-class racing is all that action, especially after a restart when you've got cars of all different speeds.
Cars are pitting,
battling with each other.
So that.
Yeah, Court deciding not to pit initially. If he's pitting now, is going to drop to the back of the field.
Yes, unless all the cars are pulling in now, so I reckon the pit lane is just open now.
I think you might be right there, Jakey. And Phil Letchford, who just watching putt around the back of the circuit, is coming in. So major confusion at the moment. We'll try our best to relay what's happening as it comes to hand, but we're just trying to figure out why Phil Letchford, who was in second place, came into the pits, let everyone through, and has come in again. So that's a shame for Phil because he was doing well. He's had a bit of bad luck in the race, but she's a busy pit lane at the moment.
Sean Doyle has just pulled out of the pits. Can't remember if he's a lap behind or not. But if he is on the lead lap, he has jumped a lot of the GT runners.
So in the GT3 class,
Doyle is a lap down, so there hasn't been a change of position. It's still looks like it's Court in the lead of the GT3 class. And no, sorry, gotta wait for everything to settle down. It looks like Baz has actually taken the lead in the 08.
Yeah.
Wayne lost in second, Carsley third, and Alex
Fourth.
Cord has dropped back into fourth place.
Fourth.
He's been one of the biggest losers in that pit stop cycle.
Yeah, I don't know what the race control's going to do about this, because it seems like there was almost two groups of drivers pitting under that yellow, and that's David Baz and Wayne Losh of Stuart Carsley have really pounced on that opportunity. Yeah, I'm just seeing cars pulling over for one another in just bulk amounts. So the game, iRacing is obviously telling people to let others through, and people are just pulling over and trying to work out where they're meant to be in this field. So
Looks like they're trying to. It could be that they're trying to sort the field out so that either the leaders are at the front,
of each
or it's
class.
or they're moving all the GT3 drivers to the front.
Yeah, I think, lap cars are getting waved through, and I also think you might be right in terms of sorting the drivers into the classes here. So probably not a bad move, I suppose. So like we were talking about before, when you've got all the different classes bunched up, it tends to lead to carnage as we start to.
Mustangs are still leading the field, so they'll lead us off by the looks of it.
And if you look in the back, you got Alex Courts getting stuck behind Porsche there. There's a big gap between him and the rest of the field. As another GT3 gets waved through, that of Sean Doyle. Confusion, Jakey. Tough to read. I suppose when we cross the timing line here, it might clear things up a little bit for us. But I think it's just a process of some drivers pitting when they weren't meant to.
Got the race order, but we don't. Yeah, well, we've got the race order. So Baz is leading the race at the moment. He's a few cars deep at the moment with lap cars in front as the pace cars coming in, and we're about to go to green. And and one of the GT cars is also pulling into the pit lane. As here we go, green flag running.
Yeah. Let's get stuck into it. Let's get going again.
As we'll watch all the GT3 cars as they work their way through the field. There's a few lap cars in there. Aroldi is... Look, he's in there. As, there we go. Oh, there's been a big crash on Mountain Straight. A lot of cars involved.
Oh wow, this is huge.
Paul Nichols.
And this will be a red flag,
it's still
guys.
going.
That's a monstrous accident.
Yellows have been thrown again. There's been absolute carnage.
There's a lot of angry people over the chat, Jakey.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Just trying to get a look here on the replays. What's transpired? Looks like Stuart Carsley has gone into the back of Wayne Losh. So when we're talking about big moments in this race, we're looking at second and third there coming together.
Oh, looks like Paul Nichols got nudged by one of the GT3 cars. Trying to work out.
Just trying to work out why. I think it's Wayne Losh slowed down so much on the straight. Seems to have lifted off or broke extremely early. Oh, because there's a Mustang ahead off. Right.
Yeah. So.
Jeez, this is all happening.
GT3 drivers got a little impatient there, and that has caused a massive concertina. And that's a lot of cars that are now wounded and will have to tour back to the pit lane to get one of their fast repairs. That was absolute carnage.
Well, that's going to mix up the field.
Yeah. Yeah, well, try to get a look at the see how the leaders fared with their cars. Baz looks like his car is clean. Looking at Carsley.
If we get a chance after that massive accident, see if JP, our broadcaster, can help us here. Have a watch of Gary Cousins on the replay of that massive pile-up. He has one of the greatest spins I think you'll ever see. The full 360, flick around, face the right direction, no damage, absolutely movie spec like Hollywood driver, and that's one of the great spins I think I've seen. But that's about as big of a pile up as you can get.
Yeah, that's yeah, it was certainly a big one. Not something that the drivers would have wanted when they were getting back to green flag running. The safety car was meant to settle everyone down, and instead it's just caused more chaos.
So, just going through the pits, we've got David Farrelly, he's getting his quick repair. Peter Madsen, Paul Nichols, Wayne Shepherd is still in the pits, Mark Dredge, Thomas Pruzos, all falling major victims of that. And if you've already used your fast repair and you're involved in that, you're in big trouble because you're going to have to sit in there for a very long time to get that repair job done.
Drivers have got 6 fast repairs.
Oh, 6 fast repairs
for this race, so
it's pretty generous.
It's very generous for what is only a 50 lapper, and that is probably why a lot of these drivers are being very, very aggressive in this race. When you have such a high number of fast repairs, you sort of throw caution to the wind because you think, oh, if I get a bit of damage, I can just pull into the pits, use a fast repair, and we're all good again.
Yeah, that can definitely be the case. It certainly seems that the GT3 drivers probably need to just stay a little bit calmer going past the slower cars, especially the Mustangs and the straights. The speed differential is quite severe. So, anyway, so have a look through it. Our leader is David Baz in the GT3 car. Stuart Carsley second, Court third, and Ross in fourth. Blake Urquhart, who's had some terrible luck, into fifth. We go down to our Porsche Cup cars, and we've got Cam Dance and Robert Crisdale still following each other around the circuit there, and David Milne's actually in front of those. There's your top 3: David Milne, Cam Dance, and Robert Crisdale as your top 3 drivers in the Porsche category. We head down to our Mustangs. We've got Chris Polly leading that field over Josh Millard and David Farrelly. So those are your top 3 drivers there in those 3 classes. So, and I forgot one more category, our GT4 class. Paul Wood doing a great job. Been watching him a lot this race, leading that one over Gary Cousins, who did that amazing spin and save. Luke Brown in third there in our GT4 class. That Gary Cousins save, if he goes on to win that class, or even finish where he's at the moment, very impressive. Hopefully we get some highlights after this race of some things I've seen. That spin's one of the best saves I have ever seen. So Mitch Ross, the sandwich in the BMW and a Mercedes sandwich in the GT3 class. There are 3 Mercedes in front of him, 3 Mercedes behind him. So flying the BMW flag there.
Yeah, he's driven a pretty good race. He started the race really well, put a lot of pressure on the drivers in front, and forced some minor mistakes, but it's all it took. And he got himself up into 3rd place at one stage before the pit stop cycle, and he's now sitting 4th place. So he'll be happy, to say the least.
Yeah, great recovery. I mean, the quick repairs are a pretty good lifeline for a lot of these guys, which is handy. 6 is astronomical. Actually, I didn't even know that. That's very very helpful in a race like this. But as we're putting around behind the safety, I think we might be going green shortly. Could be this lap. Our Porsche safety car out there, bringing our guys around. As you said before, though, we do have a Mustang of Jared Daly sitting in behind our leader in the GT3 field, so that'll be something to watch at the restart coming up the mountain. Because as you rightly predicted last time, Jake, I think it was a slow Mustang and a GT3 driver just pulling out and sort of rear-ending him that caused a 60-car pileup. So we will see how this goes at the restart, but my eyes are going to be on Jared Daly here. The poor guy in that Mustang must be very nervous approaching this restart with the hungry GT3 drivers behind him.
Yeah, you just got to drive smart. I'd suggest he probably should go wide at Hell Corner.
Yeah,
As GT3 drivers would be looking to dive it down the inside.
That's right. And I think, I mean, when you're in his position, you feel like a sitting duck, but you're at the mercy of the GT3 drivers driving smart and realizing that there's probably going to be a slow Mustang heading up Mount Straight on the left-hand side or right-hand side of the track. Well, it will be the left-hand side because you are asked as the slower car to just hold your normal line. And if you are the faster driver, it is your job to cleanly overtake. So what we've got to watch this restart is that these GT3 drivers, when they pull out for an overtake, that they realise that there's probably going to be a slow car on that left-hand side of the track. So we'll see how it goes here.
Well, David Baz at the front is going to have a massive advantage at this restart because he has 3 lap cars by the looks of it between him and 2 lap cars between him and Stuart Castley, who's in second, and then there's another 3 lap cars until you get to Alex Court in third. So this is a good chance for David Baz to put the foot down and gain a couple of car lengths on the rest of the drivers that are battling for position.
Well, that's right. I mean, you know, we heard from Paul at the start of the race, there might only be the one safety car thrown. So from here on in, I know it's only early lap 15. Baz could, lap 18 for Baz, he could use this and put a bit of a gap on there and perhaps go on to take this one out. Now, is our safety car peeling in? Looks like it is. Lights are off on the safety car, so we're going green.
Yep.
Let's hope for a bit of a cleaner restart than last time. I am going to watch that blue Mustang of Jared Daly with interest as the faster cars come by.
Yes, as they round that final corner now, and we're green now, as expected. Baz taking a nice jump.
Great start by Baz, and up the inside come the GT3 cars already. Daly does the right thing and moves aside.
Oh, Vella's off.
Oh, I
into the
don't
wall.
believe it, Vella again. And he's just driven straight into the wall at turn 1 there. Bizarre looking accident. Almost looks like his brakes have failed, which you wouldn't think could happen. As we go back to Daly and the Mustang and the GT3 cars swimming him around him with ease. There's a Porsche off in the background there under the grass, and he's going to cause he's into the wall. Not sure who it is. Oh, there's a big accident in the GT3 car at the Murray's, and it's David Milne in the wall in the GT3 car of Greg Salon again. Massive impact with the tyres there. And yeah, I don't know. Cold brakes. Oh no, Salon's actually been clipped.
Off at... Oh, there's been a crash. There's a crash where Dick Johnson hit the rock all those years ago. I couldn't quite catch a glimpse of who that was. It sounds like it could have been Stuart Castley. the second place driver has come unstuck. As we're trying to get a replay for
Let's
you.
have a look. Greg Salon's definitely been involved. He's come across a pile-up of cars that involves Wayne Shepherd and Mitchell Ross. As you said, so if we have a look at Ross here, we're sitting pretty in fourth. He's actually clipped the inside wall all on his own, exiting the cutting, which has then lost the rear end. He smashes into the concrete, and once again, we just see a track that is virtually blocked, drivers hitting the brakes, and some cars probably just not adhering to the yellow flag conditions. And it's Wayne Shepherd who smashes into Ross while he's sitting there. And Greg Salon, who had a crash about 2 corners earlier, is also a victim coming through that. So once again, we see the restart causing massive issues, and what that has done is completely shaken up the top end of the GT3 class field, and it's released Court, who's basically burst back straight into second. Blake Urquhart out of nowhere is in third after the luck he's had. Amazing job.
Yeah. So. Yeah, Blake Urquhart is he's used the fast repairs after all those incidents he's had at the start of the race, where he just was blindsided multiple times, and he's done a stellar job to stay out of trouble, and he's since then, and is now in third place.
An amazing recovery there. Okay, we have a special guest with us now, someone who was in the race, but I believe something has gone wrong. Rob Carmichael, welcome up to the booth, mate. Are you there with us?
Yes, g'day guys, thanks for having me. Yeah, unfortunately, the races just didn't go to plan after quali. I managed to put it on pole in the Cup car, but after that, my internet had other ideas. So we're back, we're here to commentate, and yeah, it should be a good rest of the race.
It should be, mate, and probably no surprise to you, it has been absolute carnage from start to lap 20 in all classes, but especially the GT3 field. There's been all sorts of things happening there with a lot of the track blocked, but currently we have a situation with Dave Baz as a lead over Alex Court and Blake Urquhart in that field. Blake Urquhart, who has, believe it or not, been involved in 3 crashes, is still in third. We have Cameron Dance and Robert Crisdale first and second in our GT4 class. I'm not sure what happened to David Milne. Sorry, Jakey.
But yeah, just looking, our pole sitter for this race, Phil Letchford, is making a comeback now. He's just passed Mark Dredge for 7th, and he's right on the bumper of Sean Pidwell. And he's going to try and take that position for 6th within the next lap. In fact, he might be having a look now as they come up into the cutting side by side. He's actually made the move down the inside into the cutting. Brave stuff, but he's got such confidence in that Mercedes. More confidence than all the other drivers, and he's charging through nicely. He's now
Oh no, Vala's off again. I don't believe it. Vala, and Blake Urquhart has smashed him again. It's, I just cannot believe it.
Right.
At the top of Skyline, Steve and Vala.
And there was more crashes at the grate. I only saw it at the back of my camera view.
Oh, jeez.
It might have been Dean Williams involved there. Yeah.
So if you have a look at the replay with Vala, he's lost it at the top of Skyline, just bouncing off walls, and Blake Urquhart would have to be the unluckiest driver out there. I think he's actually hit Steve Vala 2 or 3 times at the exact same part of the track. So Vala there probably doesn't quite have a setup ready for this race. He's finding it extremely difficult to get around the circuit today.
I've just watched Dean Williams. He coming into the cutting, he's crashed into what looks like Wayne Shepherd at the cutting, damaged his car, and he was limping his way down the rest of the lap. Got in the grass, exiting Reed Park, down into the grate, lost control of the car, got hit by a blue Mercedes of Craig Bott that put him into the wall at the metal grate, which caused more damage. And yeah, it's been a horror lap for Dean Williams.
Unfortunately, as well, Blake Urquhart has just towed back to pits. After that contact, he just had too much damage to continue on. So, unfortunate for him. Hopefully, the guys have some fast repairs and Blake can get back out there. But to go from, what was he, leading or something? And yeah, now he's third. He was third, and now he's back into 12th. So, yeah, really bad for Blake.
And,
yeah.
And the guy I was talking about earlier, Phil Letchford, has. I said before that he was moving up, looking to get into 5th place. He's now into 3rd. So he's 20 seconds behind Alex Cord at the moment. But we know the car speed that he has. And he could be well on his way to close up over the next 30 laps that are left in this race.
Well, that's right. I mean, if we think back to the start of the race, Phil Litchford was leading, and I believe was blocked after an accident on track, which then took him back. He had a bit of an issue behind the safety car of his pit, so to battle his way back to 3rd is amazing, and he's going to be one to watch out for as his pace is amazing. And just to catch you up, Rob, Blake Urquhart, who we were just talking about earlier, has been involved in 4 incidents where the track has been blocked at the top of the mountain. So to say he's been unlucky today would be an understatement.
Yeah, we're very unlucky for Blake, and he's managed to last, what lap we're up to now, 20 odd, I think. We're coming up to the 1 hour mark, and to be still running, especially at Bathurst, is feeding itself after a stint. And yeah, very unlucky for Blake, but hopefully in the last half of this race he can really turn that around.
Had a car off. It's Chris Polly. Just having a look.
085 car.
We also had a spin at the top. Greg Dale, across McPhillamy Park, had a bit of a spin as well in the Audi. He was running in 22nd place, but yeah, that car does not look too good at all. Managed to gather it back up. Some damage on that Audi R8 GT3 car.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of cars, Rob, losing the rear end throughout this event. And we'll just add another one to the list. But yeah, his car looks in terrible condition. I wonder if he realises that he can get a quick repair.
There's been a bit of a battle pack for. It was 4th down to 7th. Now it's just for 6th place between Cameron Dance and Sean Pidwell. Which has just ballooned out a little bit as they went through the S's. Looks like Dance was much braver. In fact, Dance. I'm trying to work this out. Dance is in the Porsche Cup car and he's pulling away from Pidwell, who I'm led to believe.
Oh no! Wow, that was almost immense. Paul Wood has just speared across the track in the middle of the chase. He's now reversing down the. I don't know what is happening here, but Paul Wood is reversing down the chase.
So we've got Sean Pidwell into the pits now, as we've got. So I'm wondering if he picked up some damage. Maybe with that slight nudge to that GT4 car. If he didn't look like they hit.
we ever get an onboard of Sean Pidwell in with that GT4 car, the Cup car, that is one of the closest shaves I've ever seen. He's just pulled to the left and taken the rear paint off that car, going at just 270 kilometers per hour. So an amazing avoid there by Sean. But yeah, it just looked like that car had some steering damage heading down the chase and lost it on the grass and almost took Sean out of the race.
Yeah, it would have been very unfortunate. As we're looking at second place Alex Court. He's been charging the last few laps. Last lap half a second faster. He's now within 2 seconds of Baz, which at one stage was out to 5 to 6 seconds.
Yeah, he's flying. He's charging him, and he was in the lead of the race earlier as well. There was some sort of mix-up in the pit stops, but he's put his head down, and David Baz will be starting to feel the pressure as Alex is closing in lap by lap. The other one to look out for here as well, even though he's a bit further back, is Phil Letchford, who's setting fastest lap after fastest lap. So David Baz is both Alex Court and Phil Letchford closing on him as they enter the midway marker of this event, lap 25.
Yeah.
Also on this lap, guys, the 2 leaders of Baz and Court will catch his Mustang up ahead. So it'll be really interesting to see if Baz can get past the Mustang of Peter Matson, who it's his birthday today. So happy birthday to Pete, and also Paul Nichols as well. That's the main reason as to why this event was on. So happy birthday to those 2 guys as Baz manages to get past Matson. And Court just sits behind him for now.
And unfortunately, wasn't a good birthday present for Nichols, who got caught up in that massive pile up in the second restart, or sorry, first restart that we had, that caused the second safety car. He's sitting in 18th place, 2 laps back. We're still focusing on Alex Court here, who's now 1.5 seconds behind. He's being a lot braver coming down the mountain than what Baz is. He has such confidence in that Mercedes, and we're gonna see him right behind Baz in a couple laps time. As seen Mark Dredge entered the pit lane, losing some places there. I think he was in 4th place at the time when he's made the pit stop. So I reckon these GT drivers must be coming to the end of their fuel windows where they will be needing to pit. As that's Baz into the pit lane now. So the leader's into the pits. So this will be interesting to see this play out. Court is going long, so he's getting good fuel mileage out of his Mercedes as well. So if he's going longer, we might see this pay off at the end of this race.
Sorry to butt in there, Sato, but we've had a spin at Forest Elbow. It looks like Wayne Shepherd, Mercedes GT3 car. I'm not sure what's happened there. He's now reversing out of the elbow.
And
Yeah.
he's just reversed hard into the wall. I suppose you've got the quick repair, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, Wayne has been in the thick of it today.
Yeah, very tough. As you said, Wayne Shepherd in amongst it so far this race.
Looks like he's got some pretty severe steering damage. We saw something like this earlier with the Porsche when it spun in front of a car. He's really struggling to hold this thing in a straight line as Wayne Shepherd spins and toes to pit lane. So he's done the right thing there, Wayne. He's realised that car is undrivable, and rather than take other people out, he's towed that thing back to pit lane. Well done there from Wayne.
Yeah, exactly right.
So the interesting battle now is this battle we just mentioned with the pits of Alex Court. Can he get the overcut done, or will Baz with the undercut pull back away?
I think this might fall into the laps of Court because as Baz is on his outlap, as we call it, he's actually catching Cameron Dance in the Cup car. We know 2 different classes, different speeds, and the Cup car is up to maybe 6-7 seconds slower than the GT3 cars. So it won't be long until Baz catches onto the back of Dance, as Dance is right in the under tray of Mark Brettel here in P4, P5 battery.
Incredible that you say that, Rob, because Cameron Dance, even though he is in that car, is 5th overall. As we have another off, I believe it's Greg Dale.
Yeah, he went off at Murray's Bend there. I'm not sure if that was just to let court through or if it was a genuine mistake.
But yeah, for Cam Dance to be in 5th position overall, starting 29th in that car, that's insane.
Mitchell Ross is in the wall at the dipper. Sorry to change it up there, guys. I'm not sure what happened there. I'm just having a look back through the replay. He's driving a BMW GT3 car, and he's just ended up in the wall at the dipper. Don't believe anyone else was involved, but unfortunate circumstances for Ross here.
Yeah, he had such a great start in this race, Ross. Then the unfortunately, he's just been in the wars ever since the safety cars came out, and just hasn't recovered. I've been keeping on Alex Court, saying when he's going to pit. He's gone another lap on Baz. So this has gone at least 2 laps longer. I want to see this lap whether he'll make a pit stop this time by. He's coming under the Fuso sign now into the chase, so we'll be able to see in a couple of corners time whether he's going to enter the pits or not.
This could work out very well for Court, or may in fact work the other way. If Alex Court can stretch his stint, he's coming into pit lane now, so he's extended his stint by 2 laps, which means come the end of the race, in Alex's last stop, he'll have to put in 2 laps less fuel than Baz. So this could really work out for Alex, and see if he can get the overall win here at Bathurst.
Yeah, exactly right. Try to keep an eye on Baz, see where he is. He's coming into the chase now, so depending on how long the pit stop is, Baz could be on to retake the first place, the effective lead of the race. He's got one of the Porsches in front of him as Vela lets Baz through. Thought he might have been going off at Murray's Bend. But yes, that's his Baz pass Court, who's still in the pit lane. So Court's actually lost out big time to Baz. So yeah, well, we think Baz must have short filled his car, because that's a massive gap.
I'm saying Alex Court is taking tyres actually. His car's lifted up off the ground, so in iRacing terms that means they're taking tyres. Maybe Baz did take tyres in his stop, so we know with the GT3 cars, they do tyres and fuel at different times, so maybe Baz didn't take tyres in that stop, and we'll really see the difference of the 2 strategies come the end of this stint, when Alex would only had maybe 15-16 laps on the tyres, whereas Baz would have had 30 plus laps. So very interesting to see come the end of this race if taking new tyres is the strategy to go. We're seeing Baz right behind Dance coming across the top, losing a bit of time. As we spoke about before, the difference in pace between the Cup cars and the GT3 cars is quite some margin. So Baz is being patient, as he should be, and sticking behind the Cup car. If we have a look at Dance ahead, he's in a battle with Mark Brettel, P3 and P4. So
yeah, who's only just ahead of this Cup car. So Baz will want to get past Dance as quick as he can, so he can start chasing after Brettel. And that's actually going to be for 2nd place. with Phil Letchford is now in the lead of this race, back where he was at the start. Of course, I'm going to assume that he still needs to make 2 pit stops, Letchford, as Brettel comes into the pit lane. Baz goes down the inside of Dance, so it's Baz into second place. And that'll be, Dance into third overall.
That would have cost Baz quite a bit of time, I think. Been stuck behind the Cup car. I'm not sure if Court had some clean air that lap, but if he did, yes he did. He's in clean air, so he definitely would have had a quicker lap time. We know it was Alex's out lap, so his relative last lap isn't very accurate, but having clean air is definitely what you want, and he may have caught some time up back to Baz and that air lap. Just 0.3 of a second quicker that lap compared to Baz, so a bit of traffic across the top for Baz, and unfortunately that has cost him a bit. As we're seeing Alex caught in behind 2 Mustangs coming up to the cutting and trying to get past him as fast as he can. Yeah, to go beside Chris Polly for the Gentlemen's Racing Club. He gets it done pretty easy, so.
It looks like there's a bit of incident up the back. Or Josh Millard. Triple threat.
Josh Millard had a bit of an off going to the chase. He's driving the green Mustang, so unfortunate for Josh. He's got back into it, and yeah, he's continuing on. So hopefully not much damage there. In fact, his car looks pretty clean. So yeah, he's back into it. As now Luke Brown in the GT4 is going past Josh up Mountain Straight.
I've just seen someone maybe come off track. Greg Workman, number 25. Whether that was off track or if it was just internet playing up with the timings. I can't get a replay of it, unfortunately. It isn't quite working for me at the moment, but Court's still chasing down Baz with his fresh tyres. It was about just a 10th quicker than Baz on the previous lap, but his tyres will start to key in now, and we might be able to see some lightning lap times approaching.
Someone we haven't really spoken about in the last 10 minutes or so is Phil Letchford. He's currently in the lead for the overall and the GT3 club. We believe he's on a different strategy to Baz and Court, but he's currently got a bit of a comfortable lead at the moment. It's about 24 seconds back to Baz, so yeah, he's got a bit of clean air, and yeah, let's see if his strategy can work compared to Baz and Court.
Exactly right. I still think that he might need to do 2 more stops, but the last pit stop he would have to make would be a splash and dash. But if he can stretch this stint out, he may only have to make 1 stop. As I think that was Ross going off there. It was indeed spun right in front of Letchford, exiting the chase.
Unfortunate incident for Mr. Ross. Just got a bit of oversteer sort of thing. There's a car off at the last corner as well. That's Peter Matson, the Mustang. What's happened here? Has it been hit or something? Or Phil Letchford, no, sat behind him. Looks like just a unfortunate occurrence for Matson there.
Yeah, tough. It's been tough. Been a bit wild the last couple of laps. The drivers are starting to fatigue. And yeah, we're seeing all these mistakes happen.
P4 Thomas Cruzos is in pit lane, so sorry to butt in there, Sato. He's driving the BMW GT3 car, coming pit lane from P4. So that means Cam Dance in the Porsche Cup car is in 3rd place overall. So Cam started from 29th and he's now 3rd. So it's a very good effort from Cam as we are 30 laps in. So we're over halfway now, 20 laps to go. And yeah, let's see if the difference of the Cup car can stay with the leaders of the GT3 cars. Cam Dance's last lap was a 208 flat, whereas P2 Baz did a 5.5. So there's that difference in lap times for the Cup cars and the GT3 cars.
Yeah, Alex Court also sitting in 4th. He wants to regain that podium place. I haven't seen him start lighting up the timing sheets though.
Court was actually in the last lap, sorry, Jakey, passing a Mustang, and the Mustang's actually clipped him on the chase, and he snakied his way down the chase, avoiding both walls by millimeters. So Alex Court in that previous lap probably a bit slower, but he's lucky to even be in the race as Letchford pits.
Alrighty, so
But he's in pit lane. P1 overall and in class. And now we're going to see if Baz can get the undercut, I suppose. We know they've got their guys on different strategies. As Baz is coming up to the final corner now. Murray's corner.
yeah, I'd expect Letchford to just put fuel in this stop, and then he will. I would expect him to have to make a splash and dash at the end unless he can fuel save enough. And that's, yeah, Dance into the pit lane as well, so he relinquishes 3rd, or he will relinquish 3rd in the Cup car. So that's Court into 3rd.
Court will now go into 2nd, I believe, because the leader, Letchford's in the pits. So that means Baz is now back in 1st.
Letchford is back out. He's in 2nd place. He only took fuel. Alex Court is the only GT car of the front runners to take tyres in his last stop. Obviously, Court playing the long game, and he's going to try and get the gain back that he lost in changing tyres at the end of this race.
Well, that's going to be interesting, won't it, boys? I mean, the 2 guys in front are going to feel the pain of those tyres as this race closes. Will Court be able to make up that ground of the fresh tyres will be for us to watch out and see. But so we have a look at David Baz.
The race leader, he's collected one of the back markers.
Oh, I don't believe it.
GT4 cars.
Luke Brown, the GT4 car.
Just looking at the replay here, and oh, Luke Brown, the Porsche is just huge into the wall, almost over the mountain. Baz gives him a little touch, and that's just an enormous impact.
So, poor Baz.
This is the race on the line here, boys.
Yeah, so poor Baz, I'm sure he would have got a fair bit of damage in that contact. That could cost him the race win.
Phil Letchford has really made dividends of that. He's really close enough to the back of Baz. Not too far behind at all. He's only under 5 seconds now, so...
Baz into the pit lane now, so he's going to get a repair top up on fuel.
Oh, wow.
And he might be an outside chance to get to the end after this pit stop, so it may not be the end of the world for Baz. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, you might be right. The other guys still, I think, have to pit, so...
On his previous stint, he did 17 laps on a tank of fuel. So he might have to fuel save, but I reckon Baz can get to the end on this fuel set.
Geez, that was a big hit with that Porsche car, and again, it's just, this is the class racing, the differences in speeds across the top of the mountain. When you're in that GT3 car, it's just the extra aero, and he just did not expect that Porsche to be so slow, and ultimately, yeah, it could cost him the lead as Letchford, who has been involved in all sorts of difficulties today, takes the lead of the race.
He takes the lead of the race. Now, where the strategy is going to play out, we're not really sure. Letchford, of course, if he has to pit again, Letchford has a much shorter fuel stop than what Court will have. But Court has the tyre advantage, having, of course, mentioned before, changed his tyres in his last pit stop. So this could be an interesting battle right at the end, where Court will have to fight his way through all the traffic, try and set faster lap times than Letchford to try and pass him on the last lap.
Fortunately,
So,
guys, looks as if
so
David
just
Baz has been given a 30-second stop and hold, so that really does put a dampener on his day. We know he was running in first place there for a while, and yeah, he's now in sixth, and unfortunately had that penalty to his name. So
yeah,
we know
that'll
that's
be
a
for
collision
that
across the top.
so that penalty will be yeah from that for that contact at the top of the four car. The stewards are not
Yeah, it
having
was,
any of it now.
I think the
And
reason why that penalty might. Luke Brown was the driver in the Porsche. I believe when that crash happened, he was actually the leader of that class. So Luke has come out of the pits now in second in that GT4 class. And I believe it was the two leaders, the leader of the GT3 class hitting the leader of the GT4 class, and Baz ultimately given the 30-second penalty. So Brown now in second in that field behind Cousins.
It's
Yeah.
definitely not what you want, and we speak about multi-class racing, and unfortunately that's what can happen. Is the two leaders of different classes come together with the speed differences of each class. So unfortunate for Brown being the innocent victim there, just in the slower class car, trying to get out of the way of the outright leader. But yeah, unfortunately, yeah, two doesn't go into one sort of thing. So
Exactly right.
Yeah, it's always tough when you
But
catch it.
Cousins now leads that.
Oh no, Court has hit the wall. I was
Oh,
just watching him. He clipped the inside wall of Reed Park
he's towed.
on the right hand. He's had to tow, and that's his race done. That is unbelievably bad luck. He was closing in on Letchford. He closed into 3 seconds, and he was lost his engine on that second impact.
Jeez, that's a big impact. And that's devastating there for Court, a guy that was in the battle of the lead of this race. It seems like no one wants to win the race in the overall GT3 field, as both Court and Baz have been basically eliminated from the race in the last 3 laps, and that just opens the door for Letchford. Insane. Cameron Dance is in second overall in a Porsche Cup car.
And
can we also state there's a 35-second gap between the two, so very big margin there for Letchford. Relax a bit and just take the foot off it a little bit. But I'm sure that's not what he's thinking about. He wants to get this outright win. And for Dance, P2 after starting 36th, I think it was. Yeah, that's crazy. And been in the slower class cards. That's unreal.
Well, I think Dance is currently on track to put in one of the great iRacing drives at the moment. He can somehow get a second thing. It's quite a remarkable piece of driving that he's currently putting out. I mean,
And
if Letchford has an issue, we could potentially see a Porsche Cup car win this race.
well, especially when the Porsche Cup car does, I believe he won't
It
have to
doesn't need
pit
to pit.
again.
Wow.
Whereas we still are unsure whether Letchford can get to the end because he pitted
That's all right.
with 19 or 18 laps to go, and it's about 16, 17 laps on a tank of fuel
Wow.
for the GT3 cars.
Good pickup, Jack.
So unless Letchford can fuel save, in fact, I think he might be doing because his last lap was only a 2:06. So you might be lifting and coasting already to try and get to the end on this final tank of fuel. And if Letchford can do that, that would be one of his best drives as well.
Yeah, it's certainly shaping up to be an interesting finish. The fuel saving they've employed in this class racing has certainly spiced things up.
Yeah.
Also put it out there, guys.
Near the
It's,
back.
the two leading Porsche Cup cars. Well, we've got one that's in P2, which you know about, Cam Dance, but also Robert Christelle is in P7 overall. So excellent start for Well, excellent race, I should say. We're coming up to the end of this race, but excellent race from those two guys, being in a slower class car and yeah, really putting it up to these GT3 cars.
And there's been battling throughout the
there's been an
field as
incident.
well. There's been guys battling it out for, I want to say 16th place, 17th place or something. Paul Wood in the 98 car. He was battling out with Ferrelli in the 99 car. The two teammates in the Oz Sim Racers team. But it does look like that Wood has sort of gapped Ferrelli a bit this lap. So I'm not sure if that's just the pace difference or if Ferrelli is just a bit slower. Oh, in fact, I'm a bit silly there. Ferrelli's in the Mustang, and it looks like Wood is in the GT4 car. So got that a bit mixed up there because they're fielding cars in separate classes, as is JP Simshed as well. And we have Court back on the track now. He's pulled out in 7th place. It looks like he's still he's lost a lap to Letchford.
Got a battle. Sorry, Jaggy, for 4th position. Thomas Pruzos has just ran wide and opened the door for David Baz, who's on the charge. So David Baz making a move there. Looked like it was shaping up to be one pressure just getting to Pruzos there, who makes an error at the final corner. So Baz is still on the charge. Podium could be on still on the cards as he makes a move there. So good driving there from Baz. They're coming up to a slow Porsche Cup car, Blake Urquhart, being lapped after a horrific run of incidents. And he's not going to make it easy for Baz, as Baz attempts to put a lap on someone who was battling with earlier for the lead of this race.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, poor Blake Urquhart just can't say enough how unlucky he's been as he's run off the track at the grate there. We'll put a couple of wheels on the grass there, and that allows Baz to then make the move on Urquhart. Urquhart lucky that wasn't a bigger crash there.
Yeah, that's right. He did the right thing moving over there. It's always a bit dangerous moving over there, but he did it well, letting Baz through fairly safely, and it's good driving. So
we just want to go back to Alex Court, who is coming out of the pits, and he is the fastest driver on track by a mile. Did a 2-minute 4.47, only 4/10 off his personal best lap time for this race. And I'm sure he'll be bringing those tyres up to temperature again, and we could even see a 3 at some stage in this race as he tries to pick up the pieces and try and get a top 5 finish at the end of this.
So we might just go through some of the classes here. I think GT3 we're pretty well on the board with. Letchford, Bredel, Baz as your top 3. Cam Dance in the lead of the GT4 car series, as we mentioned. Crisdale 3rd. Crisdale 2nd, sorry. If we have a look at the GT4 category, so Gary Cousins, who had that remarkable save earlier, leading over Brown and then Nichols in 3rd place. And in our Mustang category, David Farrelly in that beautiful Marlboro Mustang, holding a comfortable lead over Josh Millard and Jared Daly. So Farrelly, who was involved in that massive pileup we had earlier, driving beautifully in that Mustang and looking like he could do well in the race. We have a look at David Baz, and he is facing the wrong direction at the cutting. This could be bad. Oh, it's the Porsche car. He's blocking the circuit. We saw this earlier, cause a whole bunch of issues I think he's going to have to tow here. Otherwise, there's going to be a massive incident. He's literally blocking the racing line. Can he get it going? Another Austin Powers moment here as he looks to gather it up.
Blake Urquhart was blindsided again.
Don't tell me Blake hit
He
another spun driver.
He collected Baz. He was the first car to approach the scene when Baz had that crash at the cutting. And yeah, Urquhart.
Oh, Baz has spun again.
Baz.
So he's got some steering damage. He spun at the top, and again he's facing the wrong direction. And once more, he has to try and flick this car around without putting it onto the racing line. So he's obviously got some pretty major damage in his car. Unlucky for Baz, it's all gone wrong for him. It's all unfolded in a very bad fashion. He's going to have to limp that car home and get another quick repair. But that's effectively his race over.
Fortunately for Baz, it looks like one thing's just led to another, and these last few laps, especially through his pit stop, and when he got that 30-second stop and hold, his race has just gone from bad to worse. So, unfortunate near end to the day for Baz, and hopefully he can get these fast repairs done and get back out there. He's had another spin at the elbow.
He's got some major damage. He's got some major steering damage, and he's just continually facing the wrong direction. This is a terrible spot to try and flick around. I think he's got a tow here as he reverses onto the racing line. Yeah, I think, Dave, you might be better off limping that one back with a tow.
Oh, there's been a crash in Murray's Bend. Crash at Murray's Bend. That was Sean Pidwell. Who, he was just in front of Alex Court there. Got his right rear on the grass. Lost the back end. Ended up in the gravel. Managed to stop it in time. So he hasn't got any damage from it. And he's just pulled out onto the track behind the two Mustangs. And yeah, so this is the GT3 cars just want to throw their races away. We have second and third, both got a second place being a cup car and fifth place
in second, yeah.
A cup car as well. So
Yes.
just by those two, well, just by Dance and Crisdale keeping it nice and tidy, they've got themselves second and third overall in the class. As Mark Brettle has just gone off the track.
Oh no, Brettle, second overall in the GT3 category. He's had a big off.
And yeah, he just lost it coming into McPhillamy and just could not save it.
And the free drive here.
God. How is Court still in this race?
And he's in fourth place at the moment, and he is close to within 9 seconds of Crisdale, which that'll be for third place. And could still be an outside chance for second, depending on how Dance's race goes.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's incredible. I think we're about to see a GT3 car literally battle two Porsche Cup cars for a podium's place with 12 laps to go. And I have no idea how Court's fought his way back into him. He's got amazing pace, the amount of issues he's had, but it's just people in front of him constantly going off. Nobody wants this podium in the GT3 class. It's a bit of a poison chalice. If I'm Phil Letchford, I'm nervous leading this race because whoever's leading in the GT3 class or near the podium is having major issues. So this race is just throwing up all sorts of amazing possibilities as David Farrelly in that Marlboro Mustang now is getting all sorts of GT3 drivers all around him, making sure that the person behind Farrelly isn't this a battle in class in that Mustang. Is that Chris Polly? No, he's fine. So Farrelly enjoying a good lead still in the Mustang.
Yeah, again, one of the tidy drivers so far in this race. As
just got to keep an eye on the gaps now, I suppose, between Court and our Porsche Cup cars. It sounds weird to say, as he tries to get that JP Simshed car onto the podium.
Well, Mark Brettle, after spearing off film, he's got that car going, and he's picked his speed up. I think he's picked his speed up quite nicely. He's up behind Thomas Pruzos, and if he hasn't lost too much, he might be able to close back. Might even challenge for the pass. Actually, no. Pruzos actually made the overtake on Brettle through Hell Corner, and now he's pulling away from Brettle. So, bit sorry for misleading you guys. Just saw two guys battling, well, pretty close, and thought they might have been battling.
And we know Alex Court's on a charge. Sorry to go back to this battle here. We might actually just go on board for half a lap or so. Let's have a look at what this guy's doing at the moment. Fastest lap of the not of the race, sorry. Fastest lap, last lap out of everyone. He's doing mid-4s, so race pace. Track temperature is 31. So let's just jump on board with Alex and go for half a lap or so of Bathurst.
Great being on board there with Alex as he closes in on his teammate, and this is where you know, if you're a teammate, you let your faster teammate through, or do you try and hold off for the next 10 laps in a slower car? This is going to be fascinating to see as Alex and Rob Prisdale battle it out for the podium of our race today. As that GT3, let's have a look at the speed differential. It's a bit of a speed race down here. It's amazing how much speed that little Porsche has in it. And it doesn't look like Rob's making it too easy, but ultimately the GT3, that Mercedes AMG, with too much speed as Alex Court moves onto the podium and throws it up the inside of the unicorn Mustang that we spoke about earlier. Not sure if the Mustang knew that he was coming that quickly, but spots him at the last moment and they avoid contact as Rob Prisdale comes into the pits.
This will be Rob's last pit stop. We've got about 10 laps or so to go, so this will be near enough to half a tank. These guys are only carrying 48 litres of fuel,
Castley off.
so...
Castley off at the chase. He's he's just spun it, exiting, and yeah, it looks like he gathered. I thought he might have spun it and hit the inside wall at the chase, but yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. Just unsettled the rear, and around she went.
It's a change for the lead as well as Letchford. Well, it could be a change of the lead. Letchford's in the pits. Cam Dance. This is what we were talking about earlier. Could potentially take the lead here. Is he?
Letchford back out on track.
Letchford out.
Lead.
Okay. That's yeah, we were interested about that earlier. Not changing tyres. That'll be his last stop, and surely from here, Letchford. I won't give him the commentator's curse, but Letchford looking very good for what would be a memorable victory.
Well, a shocking victory. What he
considering his early phase of the race.
And there would have been a much closer battle had Court hit that wall at Reed Park. Because Court was really playing himself in then on those fresher tyres.
That's right.
But still, Letchford has driven a really good race. He's been amongst the fastest
pit well.
Just practice qualifying and in the race. No one has driven faster than Letchford. It's been on the older tyres now, so Court's been the fastest driver in this late stage thanks to those fresh tyres.
Oh! That's two GT4 cars. Sorry to butt in there, Sato. Exiting the dipper, Gary Cousins, and I'm trying to see who he
It's
collected.
it's Nichols, and this is a battle for in same lap.
Looks like Nichols just got it all wrong. Exiting the dipper.
Oh no!
Was that Letchford involved as well? No, Letchford got
Yeah.
through cleanly. Oh, very well done from Letchford and from Crusdale. Got through there cleanly, but unfortunate set of circumstances for Nichols. And he's towed it back to pit lane, so yeah, very unfortunate for the birthday boy there.
Yeah, oh, that's huge, and that was 4 position. So Gary Cousins holds the lead in that class. Brown in second, and Wood moves up to third.
Is you see Letchford now making a move in Crusdale. Wondered if Crusdale might have tried to defend his place to help his teammate out to try catch up. As I've seen Breffel off the track, somewhere on the track at Murray's Bend. It looks like again one of those. I think it looked like one of those wheel in the grass braking zone and just pivoted the car around. Just nudged the tyre walls, and there might be a bit of rear damage on Brettle's car again. Another wound to that car that's been in the walls today.
He has been in the walls, that's without a shadow of a doubt.
Unfortunately, also we've had another spin. Luke Brown coming through turn 1. Looks like he carried too much speed in the GT4 car, and unfortunately lost a bit of the rear end in the corner, and nothing to do. Oh, Greg Dale.
We've got Greg Dale, yeah. He's reversing onto the racing line.
Did himself, Cam Dance!
Oh!
Cam Dance, P2, leader of the Cup car. That's big damage at the front end of Cam's car.
This is huge.
Very big.
Oh, yeah, that is so unlucky. Cameron Dance just had nowhere to go.
And he's cutting corners, boys. Cam Dance, I think he's going to have to pit. He's literally just driving across the circuit there at the top of the mountain. He's in a bit of a hurry to get back.
Is he clutching it? Can't hear his engine. I think he might be clutching it, or...
I think he's got some big problems, Rob. I think you're right.
Very big problems, yeah. So this could give Rob Crusdale the lead of the Cup car. Rob's currently in 5th overall, but yeah, this will be a very big finish to the race.
It's a massive gap though between Dance and Crusdale. If Dance can manage to disable all the fuel stop components that he needs to make a fast repair, he may still pull out even in 2nd place.
He's staying out.
In fact, he's staying out with a wounded car.
So it might not be as bad as what it looks. I mean, it looks like some pretty horrific damage to the front end of that car, but he's probably had a look at the lead that he's got over Crusdale and thinking that he could probably nurse it home for the remaining 6 laps.
Yeah, exactly right. And Alex Court.
Well, that's right. I mean, he's got a 1.5-minute lead over Court for 3rd, so it's probably another gap that he's looking at that he think he'll be able to nurse home in these remaining laps. So probably not a bad move there by Dance. Yeah, he's just on the onboard with Dance there. He's holding his wheel in the straights at a 30-degree. Some steering damage there, but he seems to be managing it all right at the present moment in time.
So there'll only be 6.5 laps to go for Dan. Maybe even a bit less, depending on if Letchford can catch up to him. But yeah, it's can he hold on for the next 6.5 laps? Remains to be seen.
That's right. I mean, this is a very spicy Court. I'm not sure if he knows about the instance, but he might be licking his lips. But I'm just watching the gaps, and the guy in front of Dance has crashed. It's Pidwell again in the Audi, losing that rear end. We've seen it all day at that part of the track. Cars losing the rear end, and Dance just lucky to avoid that one as well.
And Pidwell lucky to escape major damage to his Audi there. thought he might have got stuck there by the way his car was wheel spinning, but he's managed to get it going. I don't think he'll have too much damage there, just a bit of aero.
We're about to have a change of position for P4 and 5. Looks like Pruzos is up the inside of Christel. Very awkward going through turn 1 up the inside of someone, but they've managed to keep it off each other, and once again the difference in speed of the or downforce rather of the GT3 and the Cup car is evident. Christel's hugging on the inside. They're aware that there's only about 5 laps to go. He backs out of it, so only about 5 laps to go. So every position here is crucial come the end of this race.
And this car's different speed, but they are being classed as the same race for this one. So it's all really come down to strategy and who can keep it cleaner, which has really helped. It's really helped Cameron Dance and Rob Grisdale get up into the top 5, and those boys will be hoping they can hold on to those respective places. Especially Grisdale, who has a wounded Mark Bredel behind. And I just want to keep an eye on Cameron Dan. It looks like he's carrying enough lap speed where he's going to be able to hold on to second place if he can keep the car. But just watched him through Sulman Park, and that car is right on the edge through there. He's not backing off at
Cameron Dance, isn't he? I mean, with a wounded car and a minute and a half lead, he's still absolutely across the top of the mountain. Almost lost it a couple of times. He probably doesn't need to do that. With 5 laps to go and a fairly healthy buffer, you can almost just limp this car home for what would be a pretty famous second overall, in my opinion. The fact that he's in such a slower car compared to the rest of the field, especially the GT3 class. That GT3 class today have just been the creators of their own demise on a number of occasions. There's so many drivers in that GT3 field that were looking pretty tasty for a victory or a podium that have been involved in some massive shunts, and that's opened the door for an unlikely second overall for Cameron Dance. He's coming into the pits. Oh, okay. I don't believe it. So obviously that car a little bit too loose for his liking, and he's almost lost it coming into the pits. This is fascinating. So how long will this pit stop take? Does it open the door for court?
Yeah, not sure. It's you'd expect only a fast repair for.
Is the car magically repairing?
Dance, but he's been stationary for quite some time, so he's probably taken a little bit of fuel as well. Looks like he needed a splash and dash.
Had a bit of a spin at the chase. Sean Doyle around. He got up the inside of Vella, and unfortunately, he spun in front of him, so he couldn't quite get the car slowed down enough to make the apex. Yeah, unfortunately, had a bit of a rotation at the chase. Didn't hit anything, but he's now going again. So
we haven't seen Vella in amongst the action for quite some while, so
he's had a rough day.
Yeah, he definitely had a rough start. Seemed to be in all the wrong places, and he's actually, after the first safety car, actually driven a very quiet race. Haven't seen him all in the race since. So, updated gap on where Dance is compared to Cord. Looks like it's about 55 seconds.
He's come out with a healthy margin. He's come out behind a large amount of traffic though, but I think a smart move by Dance. Just come and get the car done, bring her home. And I can't see Court catching him from here, barring some sort of calamity.
Exactly. Dance following the Mustang. He's got one of the GT3 cars behind. I think that's Pruzos.
Pruzos. Sean Bidwell in the Audi R8 Team Pity Racing. He's currently running in 13. So So these guys have been very patient behind the Mustang, and there you go. Unleash the power of these GT3 cars. Well, there's a slow merge. It's going to get very tight.
And that was for position for Pidwell. Pidwell now to 12th. Something's happened to Workman on that lap, I reckon. Because he's very slow at the moment.
Hopefully he hasn't run out of
Going
fuel.
off the track as well at the chase.
Got a bit of damage on the front left actually, so he may have hit something. Maybe going across the top of the mountain as he's. Oh!
Oh, he's
He's in the wall. Oh, there's big contact. Coming onto the
Wow.
pit down towards Murray's Bend. Steve Vella.
oh, fella again.
Baz as well.
Oh, Baz,
There we
yeah.
go. Also,
Oh,
Blake
jeez, that's a vicious accident.
Oh, so Baz has got a ripper run on Pidwell. I mean on Workman. Sorry. He's of course limping back and straight into the fence, into the 32 car.
Ooh. Our thoughts are with the family of the drivers there. That was a vicious accident.
Sean Doyle.
Sean Doyle. Did the Mustang get through cleanly?
The green Mustang did escape. Josh Millard has somehow escaped carnage there.
Wow.
Amazing.
Sean Doyle has been given a 30-second stop and hold for that as well, guys. So, unfortunately, the damage is also, yeah, gonna see some time in the pit. So, that's nearly his race over.
Oh, we were just mentioning it earlier. How many of these GT3 drivers have been? There's a spinner in front of Dance at the cutting. Oh, it's it was at Bot. Urquhart.
He's had a spin at the cutting, so otherwise wrongdoing.
Oh, Bella's there.
Bella almost is. Oh,
And there we
he's
go.
just got hit by a Mustang.
We've seen this all day. Just cars spinning and sitting in the on the driver's line, and when especially that corner is a blind turn. It's just so hard. You'll see the yellow flag. You got no idea where the car is. And a little nudge there from a Mustang. Unlucky for Blake. Love to have a chat to him after the after the race and get his thoughts, because it has been one interesting race for old Blake there today.
Albeit he's in 8th position.
Yeah, somehow.
He's somehow managed to
I think it.
off the starting position and.
I think it sums up what's happened in that GT3 class today. It has just been absolute
Urquhart's
carnage.
actually in 10th place at the moment.
Dean Williams is talking about GT3s, has come off at the final corner. So you know, the more we talk about GT3s and spin-ins and crash, there we go. There's Dean Williams. Maybe the Mercedes wasn't the right choice. It just seems Greg Workman has crashed again.
Oh, Williams almost took Baz with him. That would have been the second crash between those two in a lap.
Oh, big hit for Workman, and he just toes the car immediately, which is the right thing to do rather than trying to flick that car around at that corner. So we get the 2 to go call. So only the 2 laps to go for Letchford to potentially take the win overall and the win in the GT3 class. And as we mentioned earlier, he was in the lead of the race until involved in a couple of incidents, has managed to regain the lead. Cam Dance remains in 2nd overall, leader in the GT4 class, and is on track for a very famous podium.
Look at Sean Pidwell coming into pit lane. He's actually managed to collect one of the tyre bundles coming in. So a little bit awkward, but that sums up the day for the P3 cars. Just lack of events.
Especially for Pidwell, who yeah, we saw crash at the Dipper just a few laps ago. Meanwhile, the race leader Letchford is trying to negotiate around all these Mustangs.
Literally going Sunday drive speed around these Mustangs, which is the right thing to do.
Luzos.
Cruzos. Oh no, he's had a huge.
The cutting again. So looks like the cutting's getting a few guys making a few cars make some errors. You don't want to get too. It's a very awkward corner, really. You don't want to get too wide near that wall, because it really cambers up, and if you get that little bit of camber, it can rotate you. So a few of these guys are finding that little bit of camber on the outside of the entry and causing these cars to rotate.
Unfortunately, when Pruzos was doing his 3-point turn, he actually smacked the wall on the inside. I don't know how much aero damage he might have. But if he has too much damage, that could open the door for Cristale in the Cup car to sneak an unlikely fourth. So we're back on the leader now as he comes down Conrod Straight. It was starting the last lap.
Starting the final lap.
On the next lap.
It is lap 50, guys. You're on the final lap, I believe.
Last
lap. So Phil Letchford leads, followed by Cam Dance, and then Alex Court is in third. So a very good race from these guys. Plenty of events have happened, and now we're at the last lap. So we'll stay with the leader here for a little bit.
We should follow the leader for this last lap. He negotiates the traffic. It's incredible that there hasn't been a single car that hasn't been in an incident so far this race. Even Letchford, we thought he was down and out after he was involved in that massive pile-up after that first restart, and put in the pits, did his fast repair, came out at the back, and has clawed his way back to the front, and in the end he's gonna win quite comfortably.
Well, that's right. I mean, he also had an issue with the safety car as well. There was some sort of confusion there, and he seemed to go right to the back. In front of him was around 6 or 7 cars that all seemed to crash and take themselves out of the race. And he's just kept it clean, kept his head down, and he's going to go on and win today and win quite comfortably. An impressive drive from Phil Letchford. As we watch him come down the chase, he's wiggling the wheel. He's pretty pumped. I think he's going to be pretty excited to win this one. Might even see some doughies in the race as he rounds the last couple of corners here today. Well done, Phil Letchford. One of the craziest races I've ever commentated, boys, and a deserved winner of today's race.
Very cool livery as well from Phil. I'll give him that. Plenty of colours going on. And as he comes out the final corner, finished the race, led from start to finish, qualified on pole, and has taken the win. So congrats to Phil.
As we go to Cam Dance, what do you think, boys? One of the weirdest second places you've ever seen in a multi-class field to be in the Porsche Cup car, which at the start of the race I would have thought wouldn't have stood a chance at an overall result. Qualified 29th, and he's going across Skyline, going to finish second in one of the most bizarre finishes I think I've ever seen.
It's been a crazy race where if this race was, say, 10 laps longer, he probably doesn't finish in that second place. Alex Court charging. Baz behind, dancing.
Yeah, that's right. Ironically, Baz, who was leading the race earlier,
still pushing.
Here we go, guys. We just had a message come through from the admin saying there's a best jump award come the end of this race, a $10 iRacing credit. So we're going to stick around with these guys for a little bit and see who can do the best jump and deserves that $10 iRacing credit. It's a bit of a fun race today to celebrate 2 of our members' birthdays for the Gentlemen's Racing Club. David Baz nearly takes Cam Dance out.
Yeah,
it's all going on.
Yeah, I thought he might have just. He was almost about to deposit Dance into the wall there.
Flashing the lights there from Dance. He's pumped. I think he'll. If you speak to, that'd be one I don't think he'll forget in a hurry. That's an incredible result.
And probably one of the more unlucky drivers, Alex Court, barely put a foot wrong all day, except for the tiniest of errors at Reed Park that unfortunately had a massive consequence. As he comes around Murray's Bend, he's going to take third in the end. But what might have been for him?
He's flashing lights. He's pretty happy as well. And as you said, you know, it's such a great drive after all the issues he's had that weren't really his problem. To finish third is a result he can be proud of, and well done there to Alex. So there's our podium. Letchford, Dance, and Court. and we are about to see
Yeah,
what iRacing's all about. A bit of fun. Line up and
drivers are lining up on the exit of the forest elbow, so they're gonna line up. They're gonna line up there, and they're gonna go all in single file and charge down to Conrod Straight.
my tip, boys, Steve Vella in the orange car. After what I've seen from him today, I reckon he's going to be really good at the last jumpers. Here we go. We're about to see Phil Letchford line up for the jump.
Cam Dance just hit the wall out of the dipper, so just only incident.
So, how do we
Here we go.
commentate this, boys? Do we give him scores out of 10? All three of us, I suppose. We
Oh, the
can,
Mustang goes around the outside. That's a bit of fun.
Here we go. Phil Letchford lines up. Oh,
He stuck the
very
landing
nice skim.
almost.
Hits the wall with venom.
Like Urquhart doesn't make
Oh,
it
he did
over
make
the
it.
wall.
Oh,
Oh, Thomas! Oh wow, jumps the GT3 car.
that's got to be the best one yet.
That is winner so far.
Oh,
Oh, Carsley! Oh!
Greg Dale. Greg Dale hits the tyre bundle.
Here comes Dean Williams. Oh, nice by Dean Williams.
he
Oh,
stuck the landing.
wow.
That's
Dean
the best landing
Williams.
he's had.
Beautiful.
Paul Wood,
I reckon.
the GT4 car, makes it, and hits the wall just like Greg Murphy did.
Dean
Gary
Williams looking
Cousins.
pretty.
So
Next
my
up, in GT4.
tips are either Pruzos or
Williams.
Williams.
Here comes
I like
Alex Court.
Pruzos for the jumping over Urquhart. But
Alex
Williams
Court
has
lining
the
up
best.
here.
Gary Cousins comes over. He won't make it. Oh, he did! And he hits the wall. Alex Court, P3.
Here comes Alex Court. He's a bit squirmy. He's over. He's
Just touched the
He's
wall.
still holding it.
Oh.
Almost holds onto it there.
Anyone? Oh, there's a
Two Mustangs
Oh,
side by side.
Luke Brown is on his roof.
Oh, the tandem jump.
Oh!
Oh! The tandem jump. That was nice. I like that from the boys. They might have to split the $10. Yeah, Dean Williams. I think he's done that before.
Yeah.
He should have just done that. He should have done that in the race. It would have been just did that every lap.
I don't know what to pick between Williams and Pruzos because while Pruzos didn't quite stick the landed thing, just about nudged the wall, he did jump over. I think it was Urquhart, so yeah, I think he gets the style points for me.
Yeah. Now we might have a couple of drivers pop in for a chat. We'll see.
Rob Crisdale here. Rob finished second in the Porsche Cup car, fifth overall, I think it was. Rob, you, Porsche Cup car in the top five, mate. Excellent job.
Thank you very much. Yeah, had some hairy moments there. I think I'm going to get a lotto for some of those people I've managed to get through. But the first objective today was to beat your teammates. That Carmichael fella, I don't know what happened to him, but he disappeared. So job ticked on that one. But considering I don't race the Porsche that much, I knew Cameron sort of had my number, I guess, but made a few mistakes here and there, and that was that. So anyway.
Yeah, well, what happened there, Rob? Because early in the race, Cam battling in your class, and then it appeared that there was a large gap between you and him. Were you involved in an incident? Was it pit strategy, or what happened there?
No, well he passed me in the pits at the first one, so that's the first thing. But essentially, it's just bad driving by my part. Really, I just had a few, nearly hit the wall here and there, so to back out of it. So that was one. I think it was 8 seconds on one lap, 10 seconds on another lap. Got caught up in traffic, and there you go. So that's what happened. But up until then, I think Cameron was just playing games, to be honest. But he could catch me up pretty quick. But saving fuel. But anyway, pretty happy with that. So.
Well done, mate. A fantastic result, and to finish fifth in that car, I think you should be extremely proud, considering the speed differential, I suppose, you had over the lap. Really impressive drive, mate, and you should be stoked with that result.
Yep, will do, and I'll just make sure that Carmichael knows about it for the next 5 weeks.
Mate, my race was over before it started. Hey, just a quick one, Rob. Points on your jump. How do you think you went?
Well, that was pretty average. Not good at the jump, but anyway, I'll work on that for the next one.
That's it, mate. Well, we appreciate you joining us. Great race, and yeah, thank you again.
No worries.
I think that's the only driver we're going to be able to get an interview there. So so we're going to end the broadcast there. Thank you everyone for tuning in on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. We want to say a quick thanks to our sponsors at JP Simshed, Drive Sim, Jinx Shifters, Goodyear Auto Care, Warriner, and I'm missing and Abruzzi Racewear. Can't forget Abruzzi Racewear. And for Gentlemen's Racing Club, they're sponsored by Subaru and LJ Hooker Gander. So we want to thank those sponsors as well for helping these boys put on a great show, great race.
Yeah, it's been great, Jake, and good to be along for our first Gentlemen's Drivers Club today. And it was a race of attrition, which we thought it would be, and I hope the drivers had a lot of fun out there. I certainly enjoyed watching it, and for all those at home, I hope you've enjoyed watching it too. And we will see you all again next time.
Thank you all.